Hello, everyone in Planet on Fireland. My name is Matt Schmidt, and my short found footage horror film, hashtag the challenge, is currently streaming on the platform. Now, Planet on Fire has sent me some questions as a way to introduce myself to everyone out there and give you a little background on the film currently. So, without further ado, let's jump right in. What made me get into filmmaking at first? Well, as a little bit of a background, I actually started out writing screenplays. Now, my issue wasn't that my screenplays were getting read and rejected. My issue became that they weren't getting read at all. Why? Because I am a no-namer. And if you talk to any independent writer or filmmaker, they will tell you that if you don't have a name behind you or if you're not attached to a semi-powerful agency, no one's even going to pay attention to you. So my problem is my stuff wasn't getting read. So I did come across someone local to my area, which would be southern New Jersey, United States. And I noticed that they were doing found footage horror films for Amazon Prime. And I got in contact with this person and they told me how to go about the process, and it gave me the idea. I'm like, okay, well, if I could build up a little bit of a name for myself by filmmaking, then maybe not only could I build upon the filmmaking projects that I'm working on, but then I would have a chance to also open that door open that door up and be like, hey, I also write too. Here are some screenplays of mine that probably would require more than independent filmmaking could handle. It would probably require more of the full Hollywood machine. So, and I've been working on films for the last few years and I'm loving it. It's a great creative outlet for me and stress reliever. And it's something I've always been passionate about. I grew up as a film person. So that is that one. Okay. So about the latest film, hashtag the challenge. So I got the idea because I saw all these internet challenges were just getting popular. Hashtag this challenge, hashtag that challenge. So I thought, okay, why not make a found footage short where two teenage girls take up a popular internet challenge and they have to go into an abandoned, haunted hotel. And the challenge is to make it all the way up to the fourth floor and all the way down with nothing happening. Which, spoiler alert, obviously things do happen, but I'm not going to ruin it for you. So that is where I came up with the idea for this current film. Again, it is shot in found footage style. And the reason I keep saying that is because me personally, I like to know when I'm going into a film what type of film I'm seeing. And I think it makes for a more enjoyable experience when you know what to expect as opposed to when you don't. So, moving right along. Were there any funny accidents or situations that happen on set? There's one that I can think of off the top of my head, and it doesn't really spoil anything. Trust me, I won't give you any spoilers here today. There was an incident where we had a character that was in costume, and she had to run off camera to get from one spot to the other in the same shot. So as she was running down the hallway, because of her costume, it created this, because I was off camera and watching it from a completely different angle than the camera was covering it, she had this funny little, because her legs were tight together, she had this funny little shuffle down the hall. And I know it's hard to verbalize how comical it was to watch, but when you're watching someone trying to go full speed, but their feet can only go certain speed, it actually was pretty funny to watch. So other than that, I gotta say shooting went relatively smoothly, so there weren't a ton of funny or unexpected incidents that happened. There was a happy accident that happened, but that would be a little bit of a spoiler, so I don't want to do that to you guys. Um, anyway, moving along. Let's see. Was it difficult to find a cast and crew? Um, I know this is going to sound a little boring, but at the same time, I want to be honest with you guys. And I got to say, this film really came together relatively easily. I was I work with a casting agency that's local to my area, and they have been extremely helpful in finding talent for me to work with. And um, it happened to be that the first two girls that I met with for the two teenage girl parts were just so right for the parts that really didn't have to look any further. And it just worked out beautifully. Um, the next question is, were there some new people that I hadn't worked with before and who surprised me most positively, and why? Well, building upon the last question, I hadn't worked with either one of them before. And I think what surprised me so positively about them is we casted them separately. They had never met each other before. And on the very first night of shooting, that was their first time meeting. And it's in, again, this is not spoiling anything, it's actually in the opening scene. That was the first time they've actually met. Well, their chemistry was so instant and so just, I'm trying to find the right word. It was just so natural for them. Their chemistry, they just instantly hit it off, and you would have thought they were friends for years. And I think you'll see that when you watch the opening scene. Their comfort level with each other was instant. So it was, and when you're casting, you're always hoping for the best, but they exceeded my expectations on that first night, and it carried through with the rest of the film. So that was a very pleasant surprise. Getting funding. How did you get funding is what they're asking. I've actually self-funded up until this point. And I'm connected with a lot of fellow independent filmmakers through social media. And a lot of them do use GoFundMe and Indiegogo and Kickstarter campaigns to fund their films. It's an avenue I have not explored yet. Thankfully, I haven't needed to yet, but as my projects are getting bigger, it is probably an avenue that I will explore in the future. So it seems to be pretty successful. So I do recommend, if you are an independent filmmaker out there, I do recommend at least looking into it, but I also recommend talking to people who have done it before and can guide you in the right direction as to how to build a successful Kickstarter or Indiegogo or GoFundMe campaign, because how you execute it, I think, is key. In the sense of perks and giveaways. I know a lot of independent filmmakers have told me that they'll offer perks like, we'll name a street after you if you donate a certain amount, or we'll name a character after you, or we'll put your picture up as a missing person or something like that. So I think that's clever little ways to offer perks to people who contribute. Okay, do I have, well, I looks like I just answered question number 8. Do I have any tips for new filmmakers on how to get funding? Has it been difficult for me to find distribution? Well, and then it says, where have I distributed so far? Well, now here I am on this platform, which I am new to, but hey, I think it's great, and it gives me some international exposure that I haven't explored before. So I am looking forward to seeing the results of working with Planet on Fire. Before that, I've been mostly just Amazon Prime. Now I haven't had a chance to work with them in a while, because I am currently working on a new project, but up until now, it's been absolute great exposure. And if they still offer the same access to filmmakers that they used to, it's a great way to get just a massive amount of exposure for your projects. Why? Because Prime Video, believe it or not, because Prime Video is wrapped in with Amazon Prime as a subscription service, it has more subscribers than pretty much every streaming service combined. So even if not everybody uses the streaming service, they have it. So pretty much anyone you meet is going to be an Amazon Prime member because it's just that popular. So you can easily point to that and say, hey, my film's on Amazon Prime. Here, check it out, and send them the link or email them the link. I think it's a really great tool. But, there are others, and I'm still exploring more. Again, this was a new discovery for me. And I know Film Hub is popular with some independent filmmakers, and Tubi is, and stuff like that. So there's still stuff that I'm learning about more and more distribution, but it's exciting. It's an exciting time for independent filmmakers because you do have a lot of options out there, and I would urge you to explore every one of them. And believe me, when I'm done with my current film, I'll be exploring every possible avenue. Okay, tips for new filmmakers on what to avoid on set and what to concentrate on set. Here's what I can tell you to avoid. A couple things. Don't be, don't try to rush through the project. Don't be afraid to complete your vision. Make sure you are getting what you want. And if you have to keep people late, keep people later. Don't be scared to be a little, I guess you could say direct with people. Be like, hey, we really need this, and even if they start to get a little grouchy, just, I would just tell them, be like, hey, look, you really need to help me out here. This was part of the agreement, and just make sure that it's like you're being direct with them, because they'll respect the fact that you're passionate about your project. If you show them that you're passionate about it and you just want to get it right, and you're not trying to be a hard ass, or you're not trying to hold people longer than they want to be there, then I think that'll come through better. But if you're afraid to even do that, you're going to be left with material that you may not be happy with, and it could come back to bite you later, because then you get into post-production, be like, ooh, that was the best take I got. And yeah, so don't be afraid to fight for your vision, even if it's on a low level, because people will respect your passion, as long as you treat them respectfully. I'm not ever saying don't be mean to anyone, don't be harsh with anyone, but make sure that you're, making people understand that you want to stay until you get it right. And I think a good way to do that is to fire them up, make them share your passion, fire them up with you, get them, get their, as the actor or actress, get their creative juices flowing. Be like, wow, I know you have more in you. Come on, you got it. I know you got more in you. Give it to me. Like, really hit me with it. Stuff like that. So avoid rushing through it. Make sure you get what you need out of each scene. I would also say that when you're dealing with an independent crew, they can get to be a little, have a little too much fun, and you lose focus and you start to lose time. And the next thing you know, you started shooting at 9 p.m. and all of a sudden it's 3 a.m. and you don't have anything done. So try to keep the crew focused too. Again, not being mean, not being harsh. I know everybody's going to have their own directing style, but try to do it in a way that will just, bring out the passion for the project in others, because your passion will be infectious. It really will. And sometimes you won't even know it. But if you're passionate about it, other people will get passionate about it and they'll want to reach the goals. Now, what to go for on set, what to concentrate on. Try, if it's, especially if it's a crucial scene or a crucial shot, try to get it from different angles and try the actor perform it several different ways, because in post, the more options you have to fit with maybe a prior shot or a prior set of dialogue or whatever the case may be, you will be so thankful later that you're able to go, okay, this set of dialogue didn't actually work here, but because I had them try it a different way, this version does work here and it'll flow better. So try to shoot as much as you can within reason. You can't be there all night, all night, every night, but within reason, try to shoot as much as you can with options, because options, trust me, you'll thank me later when you hit post-production. Okay, how do I want to improve myself to be a better filmmaker? Well, up until now, I've only done found footage horror, mostly because it was a great way to start out, and also it was within my budgetary restrictions because I am self-funded. I am currently attempting my first cinematic style feature. And for the layperson, the difference between found footage and cinematic, found footage would be Blair Witch or Paranormal Activity. Cinematic would be more your standard type of film, that standard type of look where it's not supposed to look raw and rough. It's supposed to look more polished and professional and what have you. So I'm trying, and it's been extremely challenging. So I'm trying to improve by concentrating on, I would basically, for lack of a better term, I'd call it graduating from found footage into cinematic style. And that's not to say I won't go back to found footage at some point, but for right now, I would like to concentrate on cinematic style, because I think the films I grew up on and my visual tastes tend to go more towards cinematic. So I'm trying to get better and trying to delve into the cinematic world. It is a lot more difficult, but I think when you challenge yourself, you have no choice but to get better. So even if my first cinematic outing doesn't go exactly as planned, at least I'll be able to look back on my mistakes with it and say, okay, here's what I could do better. Who are the great filmmakers, in my opinion? Wow, there are so many. I think Spielberg kind of goes without saying because he's probably the greatest to ever do it. I think Hitchcock was an absolute trailblazer when it comes to the horror genre. It's funny because me and my friends were just discussing this today. Kubrick is an absolute favorite of mine. I know some of you might have a stereotypical view of him because he portrays a certain way, but he's actually a brilliant filmmaker, and that's Sylvester Stallone. Sylvester Stallone is an absolute brilliant filmmaker, and he's one of my personal heroes. Plus, the way he came, his story, if you don't know it, the fact that he came from pretty much nothing and built himself up is a great inspirational story. I urge you to look into it. I think Ben Affleck is a phenomenal filmmaker. I think some of the newer filmmakers, like Ari Aster, is an excellent horror filmmaker. Another great actor turned filmmaker is Clint Eastwood. He really is phenomenal. It seems like everything he does knocks it out of the park. He's an excellent filmmaker. But again, I could go on and on. Oh, but I would be extremely remiss if I did not mention the late, great Richard Donner. From The Omen to Superman to Lethal Weapon to The Goonies, he is just absolutely phenomenal. and I don't think he gets mentioned enough when we're talking about the greats. So I did want to give a shout out to him. Uh, okay, do I have a next film at work? Yes. So, as I mentioned, my next film is going to be shot cinematic style, and I can't give away too much at this point, but I can tell you the title, since I've already revealed it on several podcasts now. The title is Mr. Sandman, and I will just say that we were all children once, yes. So, as a child, I'll just throw out this scenario to give you the general premise of the film. Did you ever have the situation, I'm going to say most of you have, where you were in your house, your parents were sound asleep, you fell asleep watching TV on a weekend night, probably, in the living room, and that you woke up much later and it was dark out and it was late, and as a kid you were scared of the dark because we all were at one point. That journey from the TV room to your bedroom was one of the scariest journeys you could experience as a child. So the film is based on that premise, that very primal fear of being scared of the dark. So that's as much as I can reveal about that now. But I hope when the time comes, I hope to have it streaming here amongst other places, and I hope to do another one of these introductory videos for you. And of course, I hope you love it. All right. Next question. Okay. It looks like this is the final question. What is the biggest goal you've reached so far as a filmmaker? And then follow the second part of that is, what goals do you still want to reach in the future? Having a full-time job and having a full family, a very active family and very busy lifestyle, I'm extremely proud of the fact that I even got really 2 films done and working on my third. It is extremely hard to find the time, and it's an extreme challenge to find the time with my life. I'm extremely proud that my passion has carried me through my exhaustion at times, frustration at times. So even if I keep wanting to improve and wanting to get better and seeing flaws in some of my films and what have you, knowing that I'm finishing projects and knowing that they are getting progressively better, it makes me extremely proud. Knowing that I'm learning from my mistakes, and I don't think that I'll ever stop learning. And honestly, and I know it's going to sound cheesy, knowing that I'm chasing my dream, regardless of all my responsibilities in life, knowing that I'm chasing my dream makes me extremely proud, because I am a film kid still at heart, even though I'm very much an adult, probably older than I'd like to admit. But knowing that I'm still a kid at heart and knowing that I'm chasing my dream and that I have this passion for it does make me proud. As far as what goals I want to reach in the future, I've had this discussion with friends. I would love to, at some point, make a film that really reaches an audience. Nothing would make me happier than to be able to one day deliver a film that doesn't seem to go away, that will always be looked upon fondly by a group of fans. I mean, if you want to take an extreme example, you would take something like Jaws that just won't go away, or Rocky that just will never ever go away. It's going to be around forever. It's going to outlive us all. It's just that fanfare has never stopped. Um, but even if you're talking about something like The Goonies, people love The Goonies to this day. It never goes away. It's just one of those films that never goes away. So if I could ever make a film that would have that type of an impact, I would love to leave just a legacy behind of at least one film that just had that lasting impact, that always puts a smile on people's face when they watch it. They, want to watch it every time it comes on TV. I know that this sounds lofty and it's probably every filmmaker's dream, but that doesn't mean it's any less my dream. So, yes, that is my dream, to make a film that people will love. Um, even if it's not, even if it's never nominated for Oscars or anything like that, I would be so happy if people just loved something I did and just it really touched them. And, you know, that would make me, that would be my ultimate goal. But that doesn't mean I would stop there. I would always try to make more. But if I had one goal in filmmaking, that would definitely be it. So, okay, well, that about wraps up the questions. I'm sorry if I'm a little long winded. It is a curse. But again, I am Matt Schmidt. My film on here is called Hashtag The Challenge. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you're sufficiently scared. And if you are, hey, you can find me on social media. You can reach out. I would love to hear feedback. And don't be afraid to be honest. I have thick skin. All right. Thank you for everything. Thank you to Planet on Fire for having me. And I will see you all soon.